on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Alright, so for tonight's case, we are going to be traveling up to Canada. Shout out to all my friends in Canada. This is the case that people refer to as the Diary of a Wimpy Kid case, which is about a guy named Ryan Grantham. And the reason that it is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid case is because he had a small part in the 2010 movie. Now don't get it wrong, he was not the lead in the movie. He had a rather small part. He actually played a kid dressed up as a shrub, like a tree. They refer to it as a shrub though, so he was dressed up as a shrub for the school play, which was The Wizard of Oz, in that movie. Okay, so it was a small part, but it was a part nonetheless, so I'm gonna get into all of it in a moment. This case occurred on March 31st, 2020 in Squamish, British Columbia, Canada. Now I am going to start out by telling you about a woman named Barbara Waite. At the time of this case, she would be 64 years old. She was the mother of Ryan Grantham. So let me take a moment to tell you a bit about her. She was born in 1955. Her nickname was Barbie, and she had a son and a daughter whom she loved unconditionally and was always very supportive of both of them. She had a quick wit and a very good imagination. Although she was small in size, she was very strong and brave, and was always optimistic in the face of challenges. She was battling cancer, but remained positive throughout this battle. She loved animals, and her pets absolutely adored her. She was an adventurous woman and loved outdoor activities such as skiing and hiking. Alright, now let's talk about her son, Ryan Grantham. He was born in November of 1998, and at the time of this case, he would be 21 years old. At the time of filming, he is 23, going on 24. Anyway, so he had a mother and a father and a sister named Lisa. His father abandoned the family when Ryan was very little, and he remained estranged throughout Ryan's life. Ryan was always very interested in acting ever since he was a very little boy, and he attended specialized schools where they taught acting. His very roles in both film and television. As I already mentioned before, he is best known for his portrayal of Rodney James in the 2010 movie Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Although he had a very small role, the movie itself was a big box office hit. He also appeared on 6 episodes of the show Reese from 2009 to 2010. In 2019, he guest starred on an episode of Riverdale. He guest starred in 2 episodes of Supernatural. And he appeared in iZombie, Unspeakable, Way of the Wicked, and The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, plus many others. He received many awards for his acting. Ryan attended the Simon Fraser University, but in the year 2020, he stopped attending classes because he was dealing with a lot of emotional difficulties. He was feeling especially depressed and anxious. He had thoughts of hurting himself as well as others, so he was having both suicidal and homicidal ideations. He was smoking a lot of marijuana, and he was drinking alcohol. He began watching a lot of violent footage on the dark web, which probably exacerbated his symptoms of mental illness. When he was around other people, he tried his best to mask the way he felt, so it sounds like most people, if not everyone, thought he was doing okay and feeling fine. But amidst all these horrible feelings, he decided that he should take the life of his mother, and in his head, it was to spare her from the shame that she would feel after he was going to go ahead and commit violent acts against others. So he didn't want her to be around to see what he might wind up doing. And he also didn't want her to experience the shame over his having dropped out of school. So that was basically the plan that he hatched. So Ryan was an experienced gun user. He had previously been a member of a gun club. So he went out and he bought himself a brand new rifle. It was a .22 caliber. And this was the one that he intended on using on his mother. He even began practicing the crime. He would sneak up behind his mother and get up to the point of just before pulling the trigger and then stop. This was his way of getting ready for doing it for real. So he was doing that for a while. And then on March 31st of 2020, that was the day when he intended on committing the murder. So it seems like he wasn't quite sure if he was really going to do it or if he had the nerve, because he started out loading the rifle and unloading the rifle and loading the rifle and unloading the rifle, and then he sat on the steps decided he was going to go ahead and do it. So his mother was inside the house playing the piano. He came up behind her, shot her one time in the back of the head, and that was all it took. That killed her, the one shot. So, after having killed his mother, he recorded a video of himself on his GoPro camera where he confessed to the killing. He also took some video of his mother's body. Then he went out, he got some marijuana, some alcohol, he got some money, and he went home. He practiced making up a bunch of Molotov cocktails. He watched 2.5 hours of Netflix, and he wrote in his diary. Now this is what he wrote. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry, Lisa. I hate myself. Then he covered his mother's body with a sheet and he went to sleep. The next day was April 1st, and he went and he put candles all around his mother's body. He hung a rosary from the piano, and he loaded up his car with his 3 rifles, 12 Molotov cocktails, camping gear, and a map to the home where Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, where he was residing in Ottawa. So that was his main idea. He was going to go out and take the life of the Prime Minister. Before he headed all the way out to Ottawa, he tested one of his Molotov cocktails in a remote area to make sure it would work. Then I guess he became a little unsure if this was what he was going to really do. So he considered maybe going to his university and committing a mass killing there, or perhaps going to the Lionsgate Bridge and committing some violence there. And he drove for a couple of hours, at which point I guess he had a complete change of heart. So the next thing he did was he drove himself right over to the police station in Vancouver. He saw a police officer in a car outside the police station, and he told him, quote, "I just killed my mother." Meanwhile, back at the townhouse, Ryan's sister Lisa had been trying to get in contact with her mother for a little while, and she hadn't gotten any response, so she had gone over there and found her mother's body. Ryan, of course, was arrested, and he was charged with first-degree murder. He pled guilty to second-degree murder, which carries a life sentence, a mandatory life sentence. So there would be a trial, basically a sentencing trial, I guess is what it's called, to see how much time he was going to get. He explained to the authorities that the reason he was targeting the Prime Minister was because he is the most well-known person anxious, fragile, and he was in an unstable state. He saw himself as a failure, but he was not psychotic at the time of the crime, and that his marijuana use contributed to his mental state. Ryan's lawyer tried to plead his case by saying that the reason why he did this was because he was having a severe depressive episode. He noted that Ryan was only 21. He had no prior legal history. He had confessed, and he was apologetic, and he was getting treatment. Many letters of support were sent to the court to explain why Ryan shouldn't get too harsh of a sentence. One of them was even from his father, his estranged father. I don't know exactly what his father said, but perhaps he took a little bit of the blame himself for having abandoned his son. I don't know, I'm just saying that could have been what it had said, since he didn't actually know Ryan as a person. Now, Ryan had quite a few things to say to the court as well, so I'm going to share those with you. He said, quote, "Someday, if I'm ever released from prison, I hope to continue on this path of bettering myself. I cannot explain or justify my actions. I have no excuse. It hurts me to think about how badly I've wasted my life. In the face of something so horrible, saying sorry seems so pointless, but from every fiber of my being, I am sorry." So the prosecution had a lot to say as well. They felt that although it seemed as if Ryan was expressing that he killed his mother out of what they were calling an altruistic motive, that he killed her for her own good, they were saying that that is nonsense, and that it was actually a very selfish thing to do, not altruistic. They said that it was a horrible breach of trust for him to do that to his mother, who had been so loving and supportive of him his entire life. And she never saw something like that coming. She had no reason to fear him. It just came out of nowhere that one day she was sitting playing piano, and then he comes up and takes her life. Ryan's sister Lisa made a victim impact statement. She described her mother as her, quote, best friend, and said that she was vulnerable and Ryan gave her no chance to defend herself. "It pains me to know he was a danger to her life." She also stated that she and her aunt, quote, fear his release from prison. Now, the judge in the case stated that it seemed as if Ryan was getting treatment and was improving. She also said that due to his small size, she could not see putting him in maximum security. And on September 23rd, 2022, Ryan Grantham was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility for parole after 14 years. And that is the case. will tell you a little bit of what I'm thinking. I'm sure we're all thinking the same thing. Or maybe it's just me. Doesn't it sound strange to say life in prison and then say you can get parole in 14 years? I don't know why that strikes me as so strange. Because 14 years seems so short, it doesn't even seem like they should call it life in prison. But, as I said, the crime that he committed carries a mandatory life sentence, so they have to call it that. And I guess they really didn't feel that he needed a very long prison sentence for this crime. It was negotiated up and down, both sides, asking for, the defense wanted 12 years and the prosecution wanted 18 years, and it wound up being 14 years. So, that's the first thing. It seems like a little bit of a short sentence for a murder. Now, I'm imagining that a lot of people might say that perhaps he got special treatment due to his celebrity status. I mean, he wasn't like a well-known celebrity. If you saw him on the street, you probably wouldn't realize it, but he had definitely been in a lot of films and TV shows, and chances were good that he was going to become more and more successful as time went on, right? So knowing that he was a movie star, TV star, did that give him special treatment? Or the fact that he was a nice, clean-cut looking guy from a good home and all that? Did that play a role? What do you think? And then the next question is, was he as sorry as he said he was? Or was he just telling the court what they wanted to hear? Was it truly just one of these he snapped situations? They said he was not psychotic. So imagine that he spent quite a period of time planning this out. He went ahead and he killed his mother after having thought that through for 15 minutes ahead of time. Decided to do it. And then after having done that, still went on with his plan to commit more violence. But he was a bit conflicted, as we saw, and changed his mind a few times as to what he would do, and then didn't do any of it and turned himself in. Is that a snapped moment or not? I guess it depends on what snapped means. I'm thinking if he had just killed his mother, that could be a snapped moment, Spur of the moment, did it, and then after he did it, thought, oh no, what did I do, right? But his mindset lasted quite a bit. So, I definitely believe that his depression, his what did they call it? His depressive episode, and all the violence he had been watching, and his suicidal and homicidal ideations, that all is what led him to this point. One of the worst parts of this crime to me is the irony of it. I don't know if that's the best word to use, but here you have this guy who's having homicidal ideations. his mother. So he says, let me take her life so she doesn't have to experience any of this shame. And then, after having done that, he winds up changing his mind about the rest of the plan and doesn't kill anyone else. Now, I am very glad that he did change his mind and he didn't kill anyone else, but it's like he took his mother's life for nothing. I understand it was already as if he took her life for nothing, but truly, it didn't even make any sense in his plan anymore, if you're following me. So, I feel like he 100% knew right from wrong, okay? 100%. Nobody could argue that, because he knew what he was about to do was so shameful that his mother shouldn't know of it. But if he was able to think like that, would it have not been possible for him to have said, you know what, my mother will be ashamed, let me not do it at all? I know that sounds maybe very naive of me, very simplistic, but it's just such a strange scenario. So if you understand what I'm saying, let me know. I just feel that he was in a state of mind where if he was thinking it through to that extent about how to save his mother from shame, then he should just not do any of it. Don't kill me in the comments for that if it sounds stupid. Now, what about his sister saying that she and the aunt fear his release from prison? What does that mean to you? Because it sounds like the judge seems to think that his treatment is working, he's going to turn himself around, and he's going to be okay to get out in 14 years, you know? Doesn't really see him as very dangerous, that he just had this episode. But why does the sister and aunt fear his release from prison? Is there something we don't know? Is he more dangerous than he seems? Or are they just understandably furious about what he did, taking the life of his mother? Alright, so I am gonna leave it there. My heart goes out to all the victims here, to Barbara, who lost her life, and to all her friends and family. I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found it to be thought-provoking. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night.